Katie. Thank you for joining us today out of your busy schedule. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad we could do this on a
Yep.
Friday.
Oh, yes. Friday, a week a week out from assessments, Pocket Little League.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
jump right into, tell me a little bit about you, Katie. What started your love for baseball and, fast forward to how you got to becoming the president of Pocket Little League here in the Greenwood Haven Pocket area.
Okay, well, now you're putting me on the spot because I don't actually like to talk about it that much. But I first entered Little League baseball actually over in Orangevale, a couple towns away, when I was 3. And my it was time to sign me up for baseball or softball, and my mom asked me what did I want to play, and I go, well, I don't want to play with a bunch of girls was the answer that I gave her. So she was like, okay, I guess you're playing baseball. And half the team was girls in T-ball.
Yeah.
And so I ended up playing baseball with Orangeville Little League until I was 16.
Mhm.
My mom was a board member. She was umpire in chief at one point. She's president for a while. She did a whole bunch of things. I was an umpire in the league. I coached a 10-year-old team for my high school senior project. A lot of things. So, like, I love it. I love playing. I was a
Mhm.
catcher. When I was 10 years old, I got the most votes for all-stars. I got to be in the newspaper and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So, like, that was kinda
absolutely.
cool, but, um, I don't know, then I kept playing. When I got to high school, they cut me from the high school baseball team because I could go play softball and the boys had nowhere else
Mm.
to go. That was their reasoning. So I switched over to softball for exactly 4 years. And then once I got into college, as I was trying out for the college softball team, I actually made Team USA women's baseball, and I ended up playing semi-pro baseball on the East Coast for a few years. I moved out to Boston
Mhm.
for a while to play and help run those leagues, and now I'm just an aunt. I coach my 9-year-old nephew and have been coaching him for ages, and I
Yeah.
offered to be president about 2 years ago, and here we are.
Mhm.
I've been baseball is my jam. I've coached
Yeah.
every level, of either baseball or softball from T-ball to college and
Mhm.
everywhere in between. I love it, um,
Mhm.
and some of my best friends in life have come from my baseball teams.
Yeah. I love that, Katie, because I did know briefly about, your playing history. I did not know your history of just growing up in like a little league, your mom being president. So, that makes a lot of sense that that's just within your upbringing. Pocket Little Leagues, they should be thankful to have you, and all the hardworking board members on our board. I'm on my second year on the board, and the first time I jumped on, Katie, I was like, everyone's crazy. Yeah, I came home and I told my wife, I was like, Everyone's really crazy, like, oh my gosh," and she was like,
And
"Yeah,
now you can commit.
yeah, no." Well, that's my follow-up to that was she was like, "What is that? What do you mean? Like, so what, you don't wanna go no more?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm
Yeah.
crazy too." So,
Yeah. Yeah.
as we all fit in. We care so much about, obviously our kids, each other's kids in the community. That's where all the heart comes from.
Mhm.
Um, Katie, what's a good, big difference in your mind, what to expect from last year to this year, you think?
We're looking at offering more games for most of the division. We're planning coaches training, which we don't often get at the little league level. Kennedy High School coaches have offered to run several clinics for our players and our coaches as well. We have further developed our relationship with the city. Jamie Von Sossen has led that effort. Our fields are looking fantastic, and our relationship with the city is really quite good right now. Um, so we're all working together, in mostly harmony, and we all have the same
Right.
goal of trying to give the best experience for our community and all of the kids at Pocket Little League. We are also still trying to expand our numbers and grow our league, and we have phenomenal numbers for the lower
Mhm.
divisions right now, specifically T-ball. Um,
Mm.
we've not had this many T-ball players in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Um,
So, in your opinion, how does Pocket Little League foster a strong sense of community and encourage families to be involved in a positive and just support everybody that
mhm.
lives right in our in our neighborhood?
So Pocket is, we're self-contained, right? You can't exit on 70% of our boundaries because there's a river, so that helps us. But we also just within the Pocket community, there's a lot of overlap between kids who play like Greenhaven soccer, St. Anthony's basketball, and Pocket Little League. So I've reached out to Greenhaven soccer. I think Beth and I have a really good relationship. We're continuing to grow our relationship. Pocket Little League has supported the Greenhaven toy drive the last couple of years. We're really trying to work together on field relations with the cities. Like one of the known problems is the parking situation at Conlin, and that affects both leagues. And so we were trying to work together to come up with some solutions. Um, we we worked with St. Anthony's basketball just even to, hang our registration banners this year, and we've
Right.
seen an increase in enrollments, and, like, that's a little bit actually just today, Greenhaven Soccer
Mhm.
blasted our registration flyer out to their entire community. So
Right.
those kind of things, like, we're trying to build, so that's, like, behind the scenes, parents don't really
Yeah.
see that. So that's happening behind the scenes. Now
Right.
in the full scene, we offer things like Family Fun Day. We have a coach's barbecue and softball game at the end of the season. We
Right.
have a robust plan for opening day this year. Still unsure about the bounce houses, but we've got a lot of other activities planned. And the goal is to keep the kids and families entertained and fed well as
Yeah.
they're
Right.
at the
Really
park
important.
just for a game, right?
Yeah.
We've got an entire Snack Shack crew this year
Mhm.
that's really gonna up the experience of the Snack Shack. So we are trying to encourage more families to stick around at the field for longer. Like, don't only come for your game and then leave. Like, hang out,
Yeah.
make friends.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, and I second that because I feel rewind 2.5 years ago, my wife and I looked at each other and we said, "We have no friends." Joined Pocket Little League, boom, we had friends. It was amazing, right? And to this day, and we even all teamed up to get A's season tickets this year, with Fuego,
Right.
and so yeah, and crazy enough that they have 2 kids, we have 2 kids, so everything, all the math works, and all due to Pocket Little League, and I feel like we foster that in a good way. Which kind of leads me to development, Katie. Like, now we're getting into the baseball talk. Within your experience, do you bring a 3.5-year-old starting, the game of baseball
Yeah.
all the way up to our 14-year-olds, right? What's our approach to develop all our divisions all the way up to those that are ready to play at the next level?
Mhm, mhm. So, Little League International, actually, which is our governing body, they have several trainings and, like playbooks and practice plans and stuff for T-ball and the very young kids. Pocket Little League is expanding that training material to make it fit our own. And so you'll see, or the coaches will see this training book that has suggestions on practice tips from multiple experienced coaches. I'm in there. Mark Keller, our umpire. No, he's not an umpire. What is he? He's coaches coordinator. Will be
Yeah.
in there. Coaches who have run championships and who have just like been really good with the kids will have
Right.
ideas like, here's how I teach throwing at this age. The progression is now they can do this next year.
Mhm.
So we're trying to really have a more systematic approach to how we talk to the kids. But a huge
Mhm.
factor for the little kids, especially, is they want to have fun. And there are so
Mhm.
many games you can play to teach
Right.
throwing. You don't have to just stand there in a line and throw it to your partner, right? Like, that's actually a terrible way to teach it for kindergartners and first graders. They don't stand still.
Yeah.
But you know what is really cool is if you just walk around and pick up a ball and try and throw it into that hula hoop that's hanging onto the fence, right? Like,
Sure.
Those types of things. We got if we have 4 tees out at practice and they're safely spread away, we could have 4 kids hitting at the same time. Um, we I am a huge fan of breaking practices and drills into smaller groups. So, like, 1 adult, 2 or 3 kids, and they get this hands-on experience, especially when they only have, about a 1-hour practice or attention span. We wanna get them playing as many things as they can. We want them to have fun so that they come back. We want the parents to enjoy the experience as well because the parents are the ones making the decision of if they're gonna continue with Pocket Little League or not. Um
Yeah. Absolutely. You mentioned the 1 to 2 ratio, right? I feel like
Mm.
since I've began, I was lucky enough that a bunch of hands were raised. But,
Mhm.
there's maybe a fall ball year where it's like, yeah, we need like 2 more, ideally. We do a good job and we're continuing to empower those who are on the fence. Or even some moms that are like, and you never play baseball, you never play softball, but for one, you're here. And two, if you just want to get into it, mom or dad, come on, you just hold this, and most of the time they're like, yeah, I can help because
Yeah.
they just want to help. They just need to be asked to help, right? And just
Yeah.
say, all you do is this. And maybe even text them, like, hey, can I text you, for next week? And they're like, yeah. So now they're a part of it. At least for the T-ball to single A, you got 4 to 6 coaches out there. Funny enough, as I saw our roster books today, I had a laugh about my team because it was like three
It's
coaches,
7 coaches.
3 coaches, 6 coaches, for the Pirates. And we're all just like right back to each other. And I was like, look at us, like, and again, that's all we're all friends. And I feel like that was I got to put up that video right here or that photo.
Mm.
Going back to the kids, and we talked about fun on the younger age. As you take a step to double A, triple A, and definitely majors, the game of baseball gets harder, right? And it's a game of really truly failing, of learning how to fail. 3 hits out of 10, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So in your playing experience, coaching experience especially, why is that like a positive thing for young kids to fail? But how does all that work for that next level?
No, that's a fantastic question, but I do wanna tap on the mom comment that you made again.
Please, please. Yeah.
The moms are phenomenal, everyone. The moms are phenomenal, and we don't give them enough credit. Like, society tells us that the mom has to be the one in the stands, like, helping take care of the younger siblings or what have you, or the mom never played baseball or softball, so how can they help? The moms are absolutely amazing at keeping the kids under control, right? So that's critical at the younger ages. And also
Yeah.
all of these drills, if you have an assistant coach that just parrots back what the lead coach is saying, that is such
Mhm.
a massive help on the manager. Huge, huge help. That's all you need. And it
Yeah.
really it's not a lot of work if people step up. Um, My
Mhm.
very first league,
Yeah.
I was I joined the league with my nephew in the fall of 2019. I was the only manager, and they gave me by the end of the season, I had 28 T-ballers on my team. And so every practice, I was
Oh
like,
my god.
"I'm not doing this by myself," right? Like coaches, who are you guys? I learned a couple of parents' names. I'm like, "You're good with kids. You're good with kids. You run a martial arts studio. You kinda like, let's go. Here's how we do these drills." And they did. And they were like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that like I'm happy to help." And especially at the younger divisions, the parents are here, right? They don't leave. So just, yeah, don't be afraid to call on them and ask them. And even at the older division, like, hey, can you just sit here?
Mhm.
Any person can feed the pitching machine, right? Like any person can like kids keep their hands off each other and stuff like that, get them to just move us a little.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it really is a big job when you just expect the manager to run the whole season. Like, step up, volunteer. We're here to make every
100%.
kid have a positive experience, but we can't do it
Mhm.
alone.
Right. Yeah.
And the
And I'm looking for, sorry to get back to that question,
Yeah.
but it's your chance to give back to the community. I feel like, in a way where it's organic. I mean, I think any of us would be like, I'd love to get back to the community. I just don't have time."
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah.
oh, but you drop off your kid for practice and you sit there. And can I say
Yep.
you might be working, which is great. You might be
Yep.
looking at social media, which is norm. But then how about put those away and then say, "This is the opportunity for me to give back
Mhm.
to the community."
And maybe
That's
that specific day, the manager doesn't need it, but if you're even if on a day-to-day basis, based on how you feel, how your schedule is like, "Hey, coach, do you need anything today? Can I drag the
yeah,
field for you after practice?" Huge, right?
right. For
And we
sure,
have a
for sure.
few parents that are very good at this, and then we have parents that just, like, need to be, like, given the opportunity to come help, and they're all in. Um,
Right,
so,
right.
yeah, it
No,
does take a
I love
village.
yeah,
Um, and then back to the
yeah,
to the, baseball and being competitive and, how does that
yeah,
benefit
like
in life? So to me, baseball or any sport gives you the opportunity to grow as a person through the trials and tribulations of that sport. It teaches you tenacity because you're going to fail. You have to work hard if you want to improve. No matter how good you are now, you improving is not an automatic. It teaches you how to fail, and then eventually it teaches you how to fail gracefully. It teaches
mhm,
partner skills, communication, teamwork, things that employers want to see on a resume. Sometimes we could even go as far as public speaking. I make all of my kids on a regular basis, like, tell me, like, stand up and tell the team what you just learned today. And you'll see that the little kid, they
yeah,
sway so much back and forth, but you're like, hold
mhm,
on, like,
mhm,
what?
yeah,
Don't be nervous. These are all your friends, right? So, like, I try and include that kind of stuff. And I think it sometimes it's creative thinking, like, starting in single A, I got kids started telling me that they should make the lineup, and I was like, "Go for it. Like, here you go. Here's the clipboard.
yeah,
What's our
yeah,
lineup? Oh, me and all my friends are gonna play infield." Like, "Okay,
yeah,
but do you know that the
mhm,
first batter up was gonna hit it to center field?" Right? Like, have you thought about that? Have you thought about this? Right? And
yeah,
it's just constant opportunity to learn, and it's such a fun environment. I would even go so far
right,
as to say uh, that our coaches and managers are helping teach the kids
mhm,
how to become fine men and women who also help their
yeah,
community. And
absolutely,
it's huge, and you will fail. It's not a question of if.
yeah,
You will make
mhm,
an error that costs the game at some point before you're 12, right?
mhm,
You will
yeah, right,
probably cry on the field at some point. And
mhm,
through the struggles is how you find growth. You're going to be tired for some practices, or you're not practicing hard enough. Um, so all these things, and then even further as you get into high school and the demands become more on your body, and you have more homework that you have to do. You have to do time
mhm,
management and still keep your wits about you and not explode, not
mhm,
have these fits of anger um, that anyone going through puberty is likely to have.
yeah,
And it teaches you responsibility as you get older. Like, no, this is your field. Take care of it. Have pride in yourself. Have pride in how you look and how you treat your uniform. So I just think there's so many benefits to growing up as an
yeah,
athlete. And I personally
mhm,
couldn't imagine where I would be if I didn't have all of the struggles growing up.
yeah. And you absolutely hit on, something I was thinking about just talking to a friend of mine who does youth development as a living. He played sports at a high level, and he's like, you know what, Aaron, like I know you're doing a lot of coaching, and my question I have for any league or just any coach, like, are you
Mhm.
thinking about your health and wellness, for each player? Is that part of your
No.
prep, right?
You touch on the health
Yeah.
and wellness of the kids.
Mhm.
Th Their physical wellness is generally fine at this age, right? If we do have
Mhm.
safety
Yeah.
protocols in place in case a kid gets hit in the head, face, chest,
Mhm.
um, what to do. We have ice packs. Every coach has a first aid kit, et cetera, right? Like the physical
Mhm.
portion, we're pretty good at it. We all know that if you're bleeding, you can get a band-aid, right? Like that's simple.
Yeah.
But the things you just spoke about how do you
Mhm.
handle if you get pulled out of a game, especially if you happen to be pulled out of a game right after you made a mistake in the field. Like, the kids are smart enough to know, like, oh my gosh, if I make an error at third base, I just don't get to play third base anymore. So I really try and
Mhm.
explain to the kids, like, no, we're rotating through. Everybody gets a chance to play every position. And you met your quota. You got to play 2 or 3 innings at third base, and now it's someone else's turn, and, all of my teams, and I think most of the coaches, if not all, do a good job of explaining, like, "No, everybody has to sit on the bench. Everybody has to play outfield. Everybody gets to play infield. We'll rotate first baseman as long as we're sure that you can protect your teeth," right? Um,
Mhm.
but the
Exactly.
but the kids, they're still learning. They haven't faced a ton of adversity by the time they're 6, right?
Mhm.
So, I remember, like, the we were in single A during
Mhm.
COVID, and my nephew actually played up to play in single A so that we would have enough teams and what have
Mhm.
you. And for the first year, because we were still trying to keep social distancing, all the kids were masked up, even out on the field, and then we just decided, like, even if you're out, you stay on the base because that keeps the dugout less crowded, and we don't want all the
Mhm.
germs in the dugout. So then the following year after, like, everything had opened up after COVID and we didn't have masks anymore and stuff, we were saying, like, if in
Yeah.
single A, if you get out on the bases, you have to go back and sit in the dugout. And
Mhm.
my poor nephew cried for, like, the first 6 times this happened to him, and he's this, like, little tiny kid, like, "I
Right.
got out." Like, okay, listen, like, you were
Yeah.
on second base, and they hit a grounder to third base. Of course you're out, right? Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So we, like, explain the
Right.
game, but
Nothing.
they just
Yeah.
some of them, they take it so hard. Another
Mhm.
thing, like, when strikeouts first count as outs, they don't know what to do with themselves, but yet on the flip side,
Right.
double A, when
Yeah.
you get 3 outs and then you get to go hit, then you're stoked if you're in the field making
Right.
those 3 outs, so you get both sides.
Exactly. Yeah.
You get the highs and the
Mhm.
lows. Um
Yeah.
Something like kids don't know how to lose these days, in my opinion. We don't keep standings during the regular season, even in majors. And so, all the kids
Yeah.
and the parents, they know who's won and who's in first
Mhm.
place and everything. But we
Right.
have this high stakes tournament for AAA and majors at the end of the season to decide who goes to
Mhm.
TOCs.
Mhm.
And almost every kid
Yeah.
on every one of the teams that gets eliminated is crying because it is so important to them. They love it
Mhm.
so much. And it's really the first time all season that it's like,
Mhm.
no, let's go win, right? Like, let's win. We're playing our best
Yeah.
players. We're going to, like, everybody still gets in the game. And it's emotionally
Right.
charged, and so when you lose
Mhm.
something, when you have that emotion behind it, it's just like, as an athlete, and I've been there before, like, it's heartbreaking. You're like, "We're so close." Because, especially as you progress through the tournament, like, you really think that you can win this tournament. And so it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking the first couple of times you do that. Um,
Yeah.
maybe, like,
Yeah.
for several more years afterwards, and it depends on the stakes of the tournament, and also same thing, like,
Right.
you know, it if you don't get a job that you really thought you wanted to, if you don't make the high school team and you thought you were going to, like, all of these moments is just added adversity through your life to make you a stronger person and
Yeah.
to be able to navigate the struggles of life as you grow up. And we just actually get to have a really cool sport to teach all
Mhm.
these life lessons through.
No, I think it's great. I have a story first year of single A, with the 5, 6-year-olds, and
Mm.
we were adjusting to, getting out, which they needed it. Some of them needed it, like 1 or 2 of
Yeah.
them were walking for first, and we're like, "At this point, you're not, like, listening." I mean, again, that's fine,
Yeah.
like, still want you to be fun, but once they learn, "Hey, you were out. Oh, that's how it works." And then they ran. Like,
Yes.
because they don't wanna get out. Now they're
Yep.
listening, I think it's more fun. Small victories within, a crazy season. Bringing this home now, Katie, season starting in, less than a week with assessments. Oh, it is January 25th.
My season started months ago, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It does. It did. It did. It did. what's some good advice to get kids ready for the 25th
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
assessment day?
Yeah, the number one recommendation, get your kid moving, right? Especially if they're not playing a winter sport or going to one of the winter trainings at Wheelhouse or SSC or with any other local coach. Play catch with them in your backyard, front yard, take them to a park if you want to. Batting cages are a great option. If you don't have access to that, but maybe you have a tee and a net in your backyard, have them take swings. There is no need, zero need to go get a bat for tryouts. Use your glove from last year if you don't have time to go get a new glove. That's all completely fine. Don't stress about that. But get the kid moving so that at 9 a.m. for our 9-year-olds next Saturday, it's not the first time they've picked up a ball in months. Um,
Yeah.
and that really does go a long way, long way. Even if you don't have time to go to the cages or hit a ball, the the kids can get out there with their bat and just take swings in the backyard. Like loosen up your muscles, remember what it feels like to swing a bat and throw a ball. Call your friends and get a little group together to go play, and the kids will do it themselves. Even if they're playing with the ball, that is still them moving and chatting and like remembering that they're switching over to baseball mode. Some kids never have left baseball
Yeah.
mode, but a lot have. A lot are in basketball mode. Like, great, take your St. Anthony's team and go straight to a park right after your game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. The success of 2025, Katie. Last words, as we wrap up this episode.
no, we actually we're gonna have more teams in a couple of the divisions than we did last year. The final numbers are not in yet, but it looks really good for our amount of volunteer participants, coaches, managers. Um, so we're looking forward to a fun season. Very recreational. Everyone gets to play. Everyone is involved. Everyone's having fun. Good food, like I keep saying. And then for All Stars, we're turning on the
Mm.
heat. We're going to try and continue to bring home banners. Not very many people know this, but we actually do have 5 championship banners from the last 4 years. 3 of those are All Star championships, and 2 of them are from TOCs. And so we have the players, we have the capability, we have the coaches to be able to handle the rec side and the competitive side, and I'm really looking forward to how those 2 blend this year.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great year. Katie, thanks again for all you do. Thanks for your time today. I'll probably talk to you later today or tomorrow and
Yep.
all the way through the season.
Okay. Thank you very much, Aaron. This was really fun. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.